Welcome, everyone. You are listening to the Eiffel Tower. My name is Lina, and with me today is...
Have you taken over the hosting?
Oliver G.
My name is Oliver G. The Eiffel Tower is, well, I thought it was my podcast. Apparently it's our podcast. Maybe it's yours.
Sharing is caring, you know.
But that's perfect.
What's yours is mine. We're married.
And this story is about our work.
That's right.
And we want to take you guys on a journey into parts of Paris you may not have ventured before, behind closed doors.
Yes, some heavily guarded doors.
Indeed, indeed. Tricking our way through some of them. A trapdoor, a secret trapdoor.
Oh, yeah, that's
I don't even know if you know that.
True.
But yeah. Oh, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you the story of how we got our work into the Louvre Museum.
And the ups and downs of building a new business in Paris.
And the ups and downs of being self-published authors in English in a city like Paris.
In a traditional city like Paris.
In a traditional French-speaking city
like
Paris. Let's get into it.
All right.
So, for those who are brand new to this podcast...
Bienvenue and welcome.
This is a show that's about Paris, often involves interviews with interesting people, sometimes involves explorations on the go kind of stuff. Sometimes it's just stories about what we've been up to if we ever manage to do something interesting. And lo and behold, I think we've done something interesting here.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The story of how we're
pretty chuffed.
We're pretty chuffed.
Are you chuffed?
You know, and
is it chuffed or chuffed? Who knows?
I think it's chuffed. Yeah, I think we can say it's chuffed. The story of how we got our books into the Louvre needs to begin with a rewind, I think. Because if there are people who are listening for the first time, they won't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll sum it up in 30 seconds.
30. Go.
Give me 40. 4 years ago, I met a lady who said she released a crocodile into the Canal Saint-Martin. 2 years ago, during the lockdown, Lina and I were bored. Lina is an illustrator. I'm a bit of a writer. Together, we thought we could make a children's book. Knowing that it can take years to get a book
published the traditional way,
because we had a little bit of insight into it, and knowing that there were lots of listeners to this podcast, we thought we'd self-publish it and sell it ourselves. That book was called Kylie the Crocodile, published 2 years ago, and about a year later we did a book called Roger the Liger, based on pure fiction, and that's 40 seconds. Whew.
Yep, that's it.
So now everyone's on the same page, more or less.
Yes, so we made a couple of children's books.
And
self-published.
And the way that we did it was we printed them in the US. Because obviously it's expensive to print thousands of books, we did a Kickstarter campaign where people essentially prepaid the books.
Yeah.
They prepaid for their copy, and we used that money to print all the books.
That's right.
There were books left over, and then...
that's the stock that we had to be able to try to sell it off in Paris.
And that is essentially where this story begins. So... This is kind of a mix between, you know, those How I Built This podcast episodes and that story, One Red Paperclip.
Love that. Love both, actually.
For those who aren't familiar with One Red Paperclip, I looked it up. I got the details here.
Yeah.
How do you remember it out of interest?
From memory, I don't know who it was, but I just know that there was one person who once had a paperclip and managed to trade this paperclip with something slightly better every time. So maybe it was like the first one was maybe a pen.
Right.
And then like all the way up to something like a house or a Ferrari or, you know, something just exactly like huge.
Right. So his name was Carl McDonald, a Canadian blogger. Do you know how many trades it took to get from a paperclip to a house?
It was a house.
Do you know how many?
No.
It was also a pen.
A million?
A million. 14. 14 trades.
That's it?
Yeah.
Stop.
Except I just read through it. It was, I think people were getting in on the hype here because it got to snowmobile very quickly.
Snowmobile? From what?
From an instant party with a Quebec comedian.
What does that mean?
I don't know. He
What?
didn't trade for something slightly more valuable. I think people got in it. But anyway, the concept is kind of similar for how we did it. Because we figured...
Yeah, in a weird roundabout way, it's similar.
Yeah, and it's fun. And I think...
snowmobiles here.
But I think you guys will like it because you recognize a lot of the places that we ended up. But we had hundreds of books, huge delivery of books. And we're like, how do we sell books? Like, I've never tried to sell
like, how does it
children's
work?
books before. Yeah. I had a little bit of an in from my book that I'd done before, but very different when you're talking about children's books. Totally different game plan. And so we're trying to figure out how to get them into the shops because we believed in them.
Yeah.
And
our parents believed in them.
and some of the listeners believed in them too. So essentially, here's what we did to get from our basement to the Louvre.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think...
Do you think we should do this like interview style?
I think so.
Do you think it will work?
I think I'll sort of tell it and you prompt me with questions a little bit.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Yes. So we had these books and we're like, where do we even begin? And we knew Penelope at the Red Wheelbarrow. We know that she has a good children's book section and she's lovely and I've interviewed her before.
Yeah, the location is amazing and everything. We just like it.
We love that place. Everyone should go there. Luxembourg Gardens right outside it. And I went in there, I was like, look, we've done this children's book. She's like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Take it if you want to. I can't remember. Did she say that we could put something in the window or something?
Yeah, I think maybe we, sneakily suggested it and she was game, basically.
I remember what it was. There was a crack in her window.
Oh, yeah. And we were like, oh, shame about that crack. That sounds very gangster
And Lina had her hammer behind her back.
Shame about the crack, huh?
Wouldn't it be worse if there were more cracks in the window, you said?
We can help you.
And remember...
Wouldn't a poster look really good?
I think it's important to stress how much we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And how also...
I think it's quite clear.
But also how naive we were also. And we were very hesitant to put... It was expensive to print all these books.
Oh, yeah.
And we were hesitant to put more money into it. So that's where we were. We're like, we need to advertise it. This is all going to come back. Anyway, we said it'd be a shame if there were more cracks in the window tonight, for example. But wouldn't you love a poster? But we also said to her, and it was true, we said, you're the only person we've talked to. You'd be the first to get it. We're just trying to make a bit of hype. And she loved the idea and she went for it. And I remember we printed off a big Kylie the Crocodile poster.
It was so exciting.
It was so... I remember thinking how expensive it was.
Yeah, I think it was 40 euros.
Was it?
Yeah, for the poster. And we were like, ooh, this is an investment.
Yeah. 40? I feel like it could have been more, but maybe, whatever it was, it was more than we'd ever spent on advertising. Ever.
For sure.
Ever.
Yeah.
So we put it in the window there and it looked so beautiful and we were so proud and we were standing there watching people coming up and taking pictures of it and looking at it. Remember there was that guy that came up, the French guy, and he's like, can I buy that poster?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I know.
And I was like, because he loved it. This French guy, he said that your art was like...
Sempe. Yeah, Sempe.
And I remember I said that, how much would you buy it for? And he said a figure that was lower than it cost us to print. I was like, oh gosh, we're losing.
No, buddy.
So anyway, at the same time, I took the book to some other famous bookshops. And we said...
Are we naming names?
No, well, I said that there'd be ups and downs in this, but I think when we say downs, we won't name names.
Okay,
and when there's ups,
right, we will.
But I took it to a few places and I was very terrible at the pitch.
Do you remember how you went in? Like, what was your selling technique?
I remember I went into one famous bookshop with a copy and I was like, hey, we've done a children's book. Maybe it could be something for you. I can leave it with you. And they're like, yeah, okay.
We'll have a look.
And then I went back like 2 months later and I was like... hey, did you have I was really nervous, kind of. Do you have a chance to look at that children? Oh, yeah, I think so. And they found it out the back and it was all damaged.
Yeah, like a dusty, dirty old copy.
And it was almost like I was in agreement with them that they weren't going to take it. I was like, I'll take it off your hands. Don't worry about it. And they were like, yeah, okay. And I took it. And I didn't even push it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
When I think back on it. But anyway...
yes, it's a really sensitive thing in a way, like it's your creation, it's rejection,
it is,
basically,
yeah.
and you don't want to humiliate yourself and be like, you should take it.
Yeah, it's kind of, probably it's kind of like blind dates.
Yeah, it's more like, oh yeah, okay, of course,
yeah.
Of course.
Anyway, but then when it was in the window of the Red Wheelbarrow, I realized that I could say to the next bookshop, here's this book that we did and it's in the window.
It's good enough to be in a window.
Yeah, it's in the window.
Yeah.
And that always made people take attention. We should add that the French bookshops, the first thing they always say, I think we've mentioned this on the podcast before, they say, and I was doing this in French a lot too. My French is far from perfect. They say, who's the publisher? And I was like, me.
They're like, you?
It's like a swear word to them.
It
is.
It's
like, no.
It is a dirty word.
And I get it because it's way easier when it's through the system. It's way easier.
Of course.
So I get it.
Yeah, we're complicating things for
I
them.
know.
We're so annoying.
I know, we are. But I don't know, this is our journey.
Yeah.
This is our journey. And they say, who's the publisher? I say, me. And they go, oh, I'm not interested. And I say, but it's in the window of Red Wheelbarrow. And sometimes maybe I said it's selling well. And I don't even know if that was the case. But then they'd take a look at it and sometimes things would change.
Maybe you were like, it's selling. Well.
I think it probably was. So as time passed, it got in more bookshops using this sort of red wheelbarrow approach of red wheelbarrow. I meant red paperclip, but still the same thing.
Yeah, it's a good, close enough
the
name.
red works. And we'd say it's here, and isn't this great?
Yeah.
And then I realized that even if a bookshop would only take 2 copies, sometimes I just ask them, can we put it in the window even for a photo? I'll share a photo of
you can take it down the same day.
So you take it down
straight away.
Sometimes I say that. You can take it down when I leave. I don't mind. But I'll share it. And thankfully we have a bit of a following online, and they probably think they'll get followers out of it. I don't know. So we went with that approach. And then one big change was a little while later I went into Shakespeare and Company as a customer, and someone working there, I think someone kind of high up, saw me and they're like, why are we not stocking your children's book? And I said,
I don't know.
I said, let's give it a try. And they took a really big order, and they wanted it to be signed, and then they shared it on their social media channel.
That's right.
They shared Kylie the Crocodile. And that was huge. Yeah. It was huge. I don't know if it was huge for sales, but it was a huge red paperclip moment.
Oh, for sure. It was like a clear step up for us. It felt like it. You can feel it.
Do you remember
and especially because like the post that they shared before was something really cool.
Moby Dick, I think.
Yeah,
they were like,
that's
do you want a
right.
copy of Moby Dick? Do you want a copy of Kylie the Crocodile?
We're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And obviously they got a ton of followers. And so then that was what I said to shops, including like these French shops. I'd be like, here's the book, self-published, but Shakespeare and Company shared it yesterday. Check this out.
Yeah.
And that worked as well. And then it got in a few French bookshops along the way as well.
Yeah.
And then somewhere around this point, I think, remember that the first couple of months or maybe up to a year that Kylie was published, we were in various forms of lockdown or confinement.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal business time.
We couldn't do any events or anything
very
like that.
Restricted.
I forgot the events were a good red paperclip moment as well. But that'll come. So we get into these bookshops, and somewhere along the line, I think I might have just called the American Library. And they'd invited me on for a...
Oh, you did. I remember.
I called them on the phone?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, because they had me...
You called them up, like cold call.
Yeah. Oh, I shudder
Brave.
to think. Yeah, I shudder to think that I'm doing cold call salesman as a side gig, because it's not really me. But they'd interviewed me. They did one of these Zoom events. It would have been so cool if it was an in-person event. But for when I did Paris on Air, so I had a little bit of an in. I was like, oh, this children's book is here and here. Would you be interested in an event?
Like we gift you a copy.
Oh yeah,
for the library.
Yeah, I think that's how it always works at the library. And they put this cool stamp in it. That place is awesome. Anyway, they said we're doing virtual events. So we did this. Do you remember we did this event? And so we could take our masks off. Everybody left the room.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And all the children were on Zoom. So it was and it was our first event.
Yeah.
I
was very pregnant.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Wow.
As a little side note.
Wow, yeah.
I just remembered,
How funny. What a flashback.
Yeah.
So then we're doing this event, and Celeste, who works there, she's really lovely, and she recommended that I used them as a sort of leverage point. She's like, say that you've done a show here because so on. And I was like, okay, we'll give it a try. And she said, I'm pretty sure she said, although it could have been from somewhere else, but I think it was Celeste, said offer to do creative window displays for libraries and bookshops because they always want
new displays.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like offer to pay for it, offer to just offer to make it.
We've done it at Red Wheelbarrow, but the idea of suggesting something more than a poster, and we're like, okay, good idea. So the next step, and this was a real turning point as well, is we contacted, it was once W.H. Smith, it's now Smith & Son.
On Rue de Rivoli, just by the
Jardin de Tuileries.
That's right. Yeah.
You were pregnant at the time. And near
Foggy
the
brain.
Le Maurice Hotel. Friends of the show. If you're new, we stayed there a while back. Fun episode. Check it out. Interviewed the chef.
Very good.
So I went in there and I said, children's book, did the event, Shakespeare and Company, Red Wheelbarrow.
American Library.
And we would love to do your window. I think we mocked up something already.
I think so. I think, I did something in Photoshop and just like
a huge crocodile on the window.
Yeah.
And we've had bubbles and it was quite ambitious.
No, it was Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
Eddie, your brother
right.
Eddie. He helped out.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I think you did a bad one first. And Eddie did a couple of really good ones. And so Eddie, my brother's a graphic designer and edits the show. And so we showed that. We said, do you want to take the book? And here's an idea. And the lady there, Gaëlle, the head of the children's department, lovely lady. She just loved it.
Yeah.
And she was so into it. And she's like, yes.
And she was like, the green even matches our color scheme here. It's amazing.
And she was like, we should do an event and a book signing. And are you interested? Do you want the front window on Rue de Rivoli?
We're like, let me think.
And
yes,
if you guys at home, if you don't know Rue de Rivoli, it's the beautiful, famous... the windows are all under those arches. It's like Angelina is down on that street, so it's just really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a classic street.
And we were like, yes, please, we'd love to do it. And then we went to the printing shop, and goodness me, a big crocodile was a lot more expensive to print than than the other one. But we got like an adhesive one.
Oh, it's cool. Like straight on the window, cut out the bubbles. Yeah. It's very cool.
That was good. One of the easily a career highlight.
Oh, for sure.
Was putting that crocodile up.
Yeah, that was huge.
You and me on the Rue de Rivoli sticking this 3-meter crocodile on the window and placing the bubbles. And you were pregnant then, right?
No, we had little
of course.
Little Otis with us.
Okay, so at this point, Roger Liger's out as well.
He had come out by this point.
So we had 2 books at that point.
And one baby.
Yeah. So we were doing all this with the baby in the pushchair.
I know, it's so funny.
Wow.
What a funny little, homemade family business.
Yeah. So
adventure.
It's weird to think about it because all this was happening like while we're juggling being new parents and
I know, there's so much going on, but so much fun.
Oh yeah, well that's why I thought it'd be cool to share this story.
Exactly. So where were we? We had the window.
We had the window, and they left it up for ages.
Yeah,
like I don't know what 2 weeks or something. Yeah, and so we were so happy with it. Like we were going past all the time, and we'd stand under those arcades and watch the shoppers. Glancing at it, take pictures of it. Do you remember there was an old guy called Roger who saw our book in the window, and he was
like, I gotta have it.
They were looking at it for so long that sometimes I went up to people and I was like, we did that, And he's like, je m'appelle Roger, c'est pas souvent qu'il y a un livre.
It's not often that a book is called Roger.
And I was like, you should go and buy it. Because something you guys need to know about me, especially if you're new, I think if you guys have been around for a while, you'll know it already, is because I started this project from scratch and I was broke. I've always been, especially in the early days, quite eager to get listeners or Patreon members or book sales. And some of that stuck with me, even though, you delivered boxes of books to a bookshop and I still really
and it wasn't up to you to sell them. Exactly. It was up to the shop.
So I still got that. I can't help it. I even thought about today, we saw Americans. We were in Starbucks today, which is very seldom that we find ourselves in Starbucks. But everything's closed on a Sunday. And I saw Americans, and I had that urge to go talk to them. And I knew they were Americans because one of them was wearing a
American jacket
with something about the moon landing on the back and American flags. And he hadn't obviously listened to the fashion episode that I did last week.
Or maybe he did, and he was like,
it was kind of cool.
Screw that.
It was kind of cool. I think it was a big eagle on the back.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got that feeling like, because in the early days when no one listened to the show, I would have gone up and said, hey, I do a podcast, check it out. Anyway, so where were we now?
We're still in the window. Let's move on from the window.
That's right, talking about Roger. And then at this point, we'd got 2 books, and they were definitely in all the English bookshops of Paris. It was in the Bon Marché. It was in some of the French bookshops.
I know.
Which was mad.
I know, it's crazy. It's like next to all these... French books, they all look the same.
They
have the same cover.
Literally, they're all the same.
Like
they're all white cover.
White with a little red rim. Anyways, just seeing our books in these places, it's very surreal.
And I think I found that it was easier to sell the children's books after I got used to it because it's visual and people could look through it in 5 seconds and decide if they like it or not. Whereas when I wrote a book,
it's totally different.
My memoir, it's
a whole different game.
If you ever want to feel like you're worth zero, write a memoir, self-publish it, and try and sell it to a bookshop. I've got stories.
It's humbling.
I remember once.
It's very humbling,
I can't have shared this story before, but I went somewhere semi-famous, and I showed them the book, like this thing I'd created, and the guy goes, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm Oliver." And he goes, "Well, why would we want your memoir? Who's the publisher?" I was like, "I'm the publisher." He's like, "But why? Are you famous?" I was like, "No." I felt zero.
It was painful.
Really, it was painful.
Yeah.
But it's much easier with a children's book compared to...
So that's also... Yeah, that also kind of plays into the whole thing. So now, by this point, we've had a window, and we had picture proof of this window display, and we were in a few different like key locations, like Shakespeare and Company, Le Bon Marché, and so on.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, of course.
A selling point in the Bon Marché that we didn't even realize until we were there is there's a scene of Kylie on the crocodiles of the Bon Marché department store.
On the escalator.
On the escalators. Yeah, Kylie the crocodile on the escalators. And we showed that to the guy as we were... I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, j'adore.
Yeah, she's trying on shoes in the shoe department.
So, I cut you off, but we were leading to the Louvre from there.
I was sort of leading you into it.
Yep.
So how did we go from all these places inside the Louvre?
Well...
And why there? Like, what was that?
Well, I was drawn by the Philippe Auguste wall, of course.
Of course.
Which is on the bottom floor. The best thing to see in the Louvre. A lot of people don't realize that either.
I don't know.
I think it's better than the Mona Lisa.
Let's agree to disagree.
What's your favorite piece in the Louvre Museum?
The exit sign is very rare.
What?
No, but it's hard to find the way out. Have you noticed?
So that's your
I
favorite
do
piece,
love
though?
it, but
especially because they're renovating.
I do love the whole place, but it's really hard to find the exit.
And it's not pushchair friendly.
No.
There's a photo.
But apart from that, it's beautiful.
There's a photo of me carrying Otis in the pushchair up the stairs, the Audrey Hepburn stairs,
I know.
toward the winged victory of Samothrace, which is
very good.
Nike. That is the statue is Nike. I found out today.
Nike.
Yeah.
In Swedish.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So we were visiting the Louvre Museum as customers, as Parisians. And as we walked in, we saw the gift shop, this mammoth gift shop.
And it's a good one.
It's huge,
It's a quality gift shop,
and
obviously.
So everyone knows the pyramids out the front. If you go downstairs into the belly of the Louvre, there's an inverted pyramid, and that's essentially where the gift shop is.
Yeah.
You have to pass it to get in. That's the only way in. So we weren't even planning to visit. And I've had this sometimes, like Bon Marché as well. We go in without the book. And so it's an even harder sell. You're trying to sell a book that you're not... It's impossible. But we had this really cool moment when I was in there. Is you ask for who's in charge of the children's section, of which it seems they had English books and many of them. And I found myself face to face with her, and she seemed really busy. Really lovely though, but really busy. And I said, the old script. I said, made a book. And she says, "Where is it?" And I was like, "Oh, it's at home."
Don't have it. Who's the publisher? Well,
me. And she goes, I'm really. I was like, and I go, "It's a really good book though." And I started to say, "It's here." And she goes, "Look, we can maybe arrange a meeting. I'm very busy." She was really brushing me off. And I thought, I don't want to come back for a meeting to get rejected again. And I just sort of spur of the moment also, I was like, it's currently in the vitrine, the store window of Smith & Son on Rue de Rivoli.
Which is not far from
exactly. And
the museum.
She paused like she'd seen a ghost. The ghost of Philippe Auguste, the King of France. 800 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
And she said, "The crocodile?" She said, "Le crocodile?" And I said, yeah. And she goes, "I love that crocodile." She goes, "I stood and I stared at it as I was taking the metro," because her metro, she got on the metro right in front of it.
Amazing.
And I said, "Oh yeah." She goes, I love it. I need to know more." And I was like, "Well, we've got two, blah, blah." And she goes, "And your wife illustrates it?" "Yeah." She goes, "I love it." She goes, "We'll take 2 boxes, and I want to do a signing and a drawing event when everything calms down with the deconfinement and the tourists are back." I said, "Are you kidding? We'd love to bring him." I said, "Are you kidding? Yes, great. We'll take in books. How does it work?" And she explained, by the way, the most complicated procedure for delivering books. The most complicated.
It's like you needed a treasure map.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then I came out beaming to find you, looking for the exit sign to tell you the good news. And then a couple days later, I guess, I followed the treasure map and I couldn't deliver the books. Do you remember?
I know. We found
you had to go through a tunnel. You needed a car, and I was doing it
by hand.
Yeah. There's
so
a picture
funny.
of it too, isn't it? Of me with these books. I think we'll look back on this one day and laugh. But I had 2 boxes of books in this like
little
grocery
shopping trolley.
Yeah, and I couldn't find out how to do it, so I carried them down those long steps to the upside down.
Yeah, but first we tried to get into it was like a garage or
It was impossible.
Yeah.
It's underneath the Louvre.
There's lots of
basically.
traffic.
Yeah.
It's quite dangerous.
So I carried it down like 100 steps, got there, got to
can't believe.
Oh, I know, it's embarrassing.
It's so funny.
But I got to the entry, and you meant to show your ticket to get into the Louvre. And I was like, I got a delivery. They go, do you have a meeting? And I was like, yep.
Yes,
so I had to go through all the...
Which you didn't, by the way.
Of course. I was faking it. And I had to go through all the metal detectors and everything. And I took it in, and it was hot and sweaty because I've been carrying them down. And I arrived, and like, we weren't expecting you. I was like, I'm not taking those books out again. And they go, have you put the invoice in? And I said, yep. I didn't even know you were meant to. So I left the books. I just ran. And that, my friends, is the story of how we got our work into the Louvre gift shop.
Yeah, and now they're not just dropped there on some random doormat inside the Louvre. They're actually in the gift shop.
We found out
on display.
Yeah, we found out a couple of days later that I can't remember who it was. I do remember who it was. It was Sergio and Sanya. Long-time listeners to this show were in Paris, and they messaged to say, oh my God, your books are right there at the entrance. And we were flabbergasted, gobsmacked.
It was huge.
And we went straight there and took a look. And I think they still are there.
Yeah,
if you go into
right
the Louvre,
there.
they're right there. Right there.
Yeah, bang in the center. It's so cool.
Yeah. And so...
so from our little lockdown project to big display in the Louvre.
And personally, like, I feel like it can't get better than that.
Yeah.
I feel like it would. I don't
What's
know what.
next?
That's what I mean. I don't think there is a next, which is why we can do this episode now to reflect on the sort of strange journey of it.
Yeah.
But I can tell everyone at home what is next when it comes to children's books is a new one.
Our third one.
Our third children's book. Our goal is to have it ready in May.
I just finished the cover, actually.
And you never start on the cover. You usually finish on the cover.
That's true.
So we've got the cover ready because we're thinking to print more of the first ones and to put the cover of this new one.
As a little teaser.
Yeah, in the back of...
A little trailer.
So in some ways we haven't learned anything. Like the obvious... I think the obvious thing would be to get a publisher.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny.
But it's also like with this podcast, I've tried sometimes to get help, like to get written up in newspapers or whatever. Never works.
Yeah.
It grows because of the listeners, the people who share it. Same with the children's books. It grows very organically, and that's the way.
And something that we say, I don't know if this, I don't think people know what we mean when I say it, but we dolomite it.
Yeah,
so
that movie.
Yeah, the Dolomite, Eddie Murphy and Dolomite.
I'm not saying that no one believes in us, because I know a lot of you guys really do, and a lot of you support us, and it's lovely. But like the people who make the decisions, as in the people who greenlight a film or whatever.
Yeah, no, because it's a wild card. It's always ways. Like, I get it. I understand that they want to go.
Wild cards with books, with podcasts, with your shoes and
I
handbags.
know, we're crazy.
But anyway, all that's to say is there will be another one. We're not going to go on about it.
But I mean, it works as well.
It seems to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is the story. We'll keep you updated on the new book. I think we haven't figured out exactly how we're doing it, but we'll probably do another limited first edition via Kickstarter where you can pre-order, get your name. By the way, all you guys who got your names in the back of those first 2 books, they have the copies that are in the Louvre and Shakespeare and Company. So if you make it to
literally
Paris,
in the Louvre.
your names are there. I think that's really cool. But that's enough about that. We'll keep you updated on the new book as it comes. It's not... we're not going to start going on about it yet. But one thing I do want to go on about is the new season of the podcast, because that...
And it's coming soon.
Yeah, so do you want to give we can finish on that for 2 minutes, what you guys can expect I think, because we've got a good idea of what's coming because we started recording it.
Started filming, started recording.
So the idea is it's the Paris Countdown, season 12. I personally am extremely excited about it. It's
So what is it? The gist?
The gist is we're going to visit every single Paris arrondissement from 20 to 1, and we're going to stay there.
For how long?
24 hours. Get a hotel.
So it's like an express holiday.
Exactly.
An espresso.
Yeah. That's nice.
In the coffee world, you know.
We're gonna have a coffee. We're gonna do some kind of event. We're gonna have a dinner. We're gonna really try and explore as many of the cool parts.
So it's food, it's drink, it's culture, somewhere to stay, and flaneuring.
A lot of flaneuring. And the idea is we'll make videos, we'll make podcast episode, we'll report back, and we'll be able to give you like a real honest review of each district of Paris.
And try to find the sort of personality of each district.
And so we've already started.
Or kingdom, like your brother would say.
And we'll count down all the way to 1. Yeah. And it's like for the first time on the show, it's going to be big budget stuff. Like I hired a photographer, I've hired a researcher. We've got a team that I'm looking forward to introducing you guys to make sure the episode is as perfect as I can make it.
Yeah.
And interviewing people as well.
So this is kind of like a quick but in-depth guide.
Yeah.
To each arrondissement.
And give you the local feeling.
Yeah.
And I've never really
and it's
done
not
like
just,
this before.
what I really like about this is that it's not just copy-pasted, from like blogs around the internet. It's new things. It's things that maybe there are recommended by other people, but, we go and check out and maybe it's not as good as it seems.
Well, that's already happened.
Yes, exactly.
I found some recommended things in the 20th, for example, that were rubbish.
Yeah, just like, no.
And the opposite.
Would not spend time or money on any of that.
And that's
mostly time.
Speaking of money is an important thing that I want to say, because I don't think I'm going to mention it much in the new season, but I'm strictly not doing the influencer freebie thing where you call up the hotel and say, hey, I've got a podcast and we'll be talking about you. No. Everything's going to be booked like a customer, and we're going to give it like actual honest reviews. So I think you guys are going to love it. March 7th is when it starts with the 20th arrondissement, a little Bohemia mixed with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
A little bit of Edith Piaf you guys will be hearing.
It
a little
is
bit of
exciting.
A little bit of an interview with an Edith Piaf singer. And plenty more to come. The 19th, the Canal.
Yeah, the 18th.
Oh man, you guys are in for a treat.
Old Montmartre.
You guys are in for a treat. If I'll end on this note, you may have noticed, and you may already know, this show does not have sponsors either. Everything is made possible by the Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/The Earful Tower. That is how you can get a lot of extra bonuses, get
even more of Paris.
Get more guides. I'll be doing guides to each of the districts. And literally making the show better, because we would not be able to do this kind of stuff with a budget if it wasn't for you. That is where your money is going. So patreon.com/The Earful Tower, or buy one of our books. Roger the Liger, Kai the Crocodile, you can find them in all the bookshops.
You know where to find them.
You know literally every single place to find them. You know what we didn't mention? The secret door.
The secret door,
so I'm going to add that to finish on. Is one of the bookshops, which I can't name, but it's a small, mysterious one. When I went in to settle an invoice with him, he had to get to the safe.
Yeah.
Or she had to get to the safe.
This gentlest person.
And they picked out, it looked to me like they picked out a book, but maybe they clicked some latch. And
like from a bookcase.
From one of their bookshelves, yeah. And the wall of books opened.
Amazing.
The whole thing opened up. And he or she reached into the safe and got out a check or something. And
I love it.
So cool.
That is so cool.
I wish I could say where it was.
Magical.
But I can't, because then everyone will go and steal from the safe. But look, that is
What was the book?
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I'm just kidding. Roger the Liger, of course. Go and pick it off the bookshelf near you. I'll end on that note. My name is Oliver G. This is Lina Norton G.
Hello. Oh, goodbye, maybe even.
And it's our pleasure to share Paris with you. Thanks to all who've already got our book. Thanks to all the Patreon members. And thanks for listening. If you like the episode, share it with a friend, because that's how this baby grows. Any closing remarks?
I can't with you. You're first.
All right, I think we'll end on that one. Merci beaucoup, everyone. Au revoir.